All right, guys, it has started. It started earlier last week, end of last week, over the weekend. We have our very first MetaZoo Torrential Tides spoiler, and if you look at that, man, this is so. Here's the thing, y'all. We can basically infer that this card that we're seeing right here is going to have a alternate art, fully textured variant. They'd be dumb not to do it. I can almost use the G word, guarantee that we're gonna see Torrential Tides as a fully textured card. And just look at that artwork, man. Like, who did this art? Game On Studio, man. They absolutely killed it with all these colors, the water in the background, the way the splashing looks. Can we zoom in closer to our boy right here? There's our boy Loveland Frogman right there. Return each creature to its owner's hand, untap for aura, and then they blanked out the strategy. But here's a couple things that we can see, and let me go ahead and pop my face here for a second. So if you guys notice on the here, let me make myself small. Whoop. All right. If you guys notice down here, it's another 212 card set. Obviously, it's going to be more than 212 cards because we do get hidden rares. And so that's going to be a topic of another video. What sort of hidden rares can we expect to see for Torrential Tides? Has to be Loveland Frogman one of them, because if they're going to be kind of, you know, if we're basing it off of base set and how they did the hidden rares, I mean, we had all the big hitters. We had Mothman, Bigfoot, Piazza Bird, and what was the other one? Oh, Sun Wukong. And so they did 3 of the big hitters from the original game, plus, of course, a new big hitter in Sun Wukong coming into the game, which I honestly think Sun Wukong was an awesome addition and can absolutely be one of the top cryptids or the top mascots of MetaZoo going forward. I think it's an awesome design, awesome card. So with Torrential Tides, what can we expect? I expect a Loveland Frogman, absolutely 100% hidden rare Loveland Frogman. Whether he's gonna be, you know, the original art style or not, who knows? They could continue to do something like that, where like every set, you know, thematically they choose an original cryptid art that is pretty famous in the community, like in the original game, and they use that artwork, fully textured, you know, all that cool stuff, and then that's one of the hidden rares we get. Plus, we also get an additional hidden rare in the new art style. I kind of like that idea because if you guys remember, we got 2 hidden rare Mothmans, right? We got the original Moth artwork, which is like chef's kiss, top card. I have still not pulled it yet. I want to get it. If worst case scenario, y'all, I'm gonna end up purchasing that card. But the original artwork Moth was just peak in my opinion. But we also got a second hidden rare Moth. We got a poncho stylized hidden rare Mothman. And so I kind of like that duality of original artwork, paying homage to the original fans, while also giving an additional artwork of like the new style or like the future of this MetaZoo brand, right? And so I can see them doing like an original Loveland Frogman, fully textured hidden rare, and then I can also see them doing another hidden rare Frogman in MetaZoo's new style, or, you know, a new artist or free range in whatever way they want to depict Frogman. And I think that's cool. And so can we see 2 Loveland Frogman hidden rares? I think that's pretty good. I think that's a pretty good bet on that. And then if we're going to continue on with the 5 hidden rares and we can get another 3, I'm just trying to think what other like top water cryptids that people love can come out. I think Loch Ness Monster would be a really awesome hidden rare if they go that route. What was another good one, man? There was Nessie, Loch Ness Monster, which I think Loch Ness Monster has to be a hidden rare just because we got Loch Ness Monster near the end of the MetaZoo OG game, and it was only available overseas, and then the card was selling for hundreds of dollars in the secondary market because it was only available overseas, and then the game went bankrupt, and so the only way you could get these cards was from like one store. So we need to see a Loch Ness Monster for sure. I know we're getting one in the set. It would be awesome if we get a hidden rare Loch Ness Monster. Very excited, man. I love these cards. My only thing that I'm sad about is how much it takes to make a master set. And so let's continue on with the rest of this video, because we're actually going to be going over a little bit more of the MetaZoo Mondays, right? And so last Monday they had a MetaZoo hour, basically. I'm not going to cover that because it was basically it's lost in the Discord messages right now. And I think Escaped Alien already made a pretty good recap about it. But I actually want to talk about yesterday's MetaZoo Monday. And you know, this MetaZoo Monday was did have a little bit of information, but nothing compared to like last week's. I think last week had more information, but we're gonna go ahead and start off with just basically some of the things that I saw that are important to know, that are interesting to kind of follow along, because again, they're not really showing us anything new. They're just kind of slowly drip feeding information as needed. They're not over promising, under delivering. They're not trying to do a lot of teases for future stuff. And that's actually one of the things that Charlie mentioned last week, is that they don't have a year-long like schedule map that they can share with the community, because he found that to be one of the main reasons why people kept getting upset with the original company. They kept missing deadlines. They kept over promising and under delivering. Like basically he mentioned how there was like maybe 2 products in that 1 year like schedule snapshot or whatever that actually came to fruition, and that they're not going to be doing that. They're only going to share stuff when it is ready to be shared. And so I'm going to go ahead and search for these. So if you guys see the video kind of get wonky, edited, cut, that's because I'm kind of skipping around, cutting into it. So I'm just going to continue going on, and we'll see what cool information we learned from yesterday. All right, so one of the very first questions asked to Charlie was, are there any additional plans for ancillary products for set releases? If there are, will products like flex decks be released alongside traditional expansion set boxes? To which Charlie responded with, yep, tons of plans. Most are decision-based tree decisions most are decision trees based on different circumstances. Complicating the core set SKU mix is a lower priority than introducing intermittent excitement and value. OP will ultimately have unique stuff also. Now, what does that mean? It means, from what I could read into this, it means that they are planning on actually releasing more product alongside the booster boxes in the future. But they're more, at least what I interpreted, they are more focused on exciting products that I'm assuming get released at intervals, so that basically that we always have something to do, something to open, something to talk about MetaZoo, because that is very much needed, right? That was, I think, one of the biggest components of the original company, was they knew how to get like the hype and people talking about MetaZoo, simply due to the sheer amount of releases that they were doing. Right now, obviously this ended up being their downfall, and so I think Charlie and the team is trying to kind of, you know, have that mindset of like, hey, we need to have products trickle out throughout, you know, every month or so, every couple months or something like that. Keep it realistic. That way we can continue to have the conversation around MetaZoo basically sticking around year long. What you don't want to do is release a product and go like 3 months with no news, nothing regarding anything going on with MetaZoo. You have to have a steady supply of new product. In my opinion, I think they really need to introduce Spellbooks again. Hopefully we start seeing that, maybe not with this set, maybe next set, or maybe they will start with this set. Maybe they just have a release schedule for Spellbooks at a later date. But I think on release, and I think this really hurts them, on release, the only thing that they currently have available are booster boxes. So you have to drop like $100 or more to get one booster box of 24 packs. I think that really limits a lot of people getting into the game casually to see what it's about. I feel, as a consumer, I feel much more inclined to purchase a $30, $40 or $40 ETB at Walmart, Target, GameStop, or whatever, just to see what the product is about, versus dropping $100+ on a product that may or may not be for me. So I really hope to see I really hope to see Spellbooks. I said ETBs. I really hope to see Spellbooks come back in some form or other, because I think it's really needed, and I think we need to just have more product on release, so that it's not just booster box and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, flex decks are cool. I know they're coming out. They're supposed to be coming out this month in June. But This was like, what, 2 months after release of the base set. So I really hope we see flex decks, booster boxes, and maybe like Spellbooks on release, followed by, you know, other ancillary products like premium collections or some other sort of collection that doesn't have to be some collaboration with another company. It can just be a simple collection of like how Pokemon does their stuff with like pin collections, the tins, you know, things like that, where it lowers the barrier of entry for a lot of people. Comes with some cool promos to basically entice people to purchase them and crack more packs, and it also helps with essentially keeping that, basically getting rid of that excess product over time. Like if booster boxes sold, I don't know, 80% of the stock and you're having issues moving 20% of it, you can start kind of packaging those booster packs in other products to hopefully sell through more of that until that product is completely gone. Something along those lines, but very, very, very awesome. Really hope to see more information on what other products we can expect on release date going forward. I don't think it's, again, we're only seeing booster boxes for Torrential Tides at this point. I'm hoping by next release they kind of get everything down where we're seeing flex decks and booster boxes and possibly, like I said, a spell book to go along with it on day one. But I'll keep monitoring the situation, man. So we got that. Let's go on to the next one. All right, here's a really big one, and they did go over this last week. I just didn't have time to go through it all. But a question was asked, TCG player win, and this is really, really huge. Up to them. We talked about this last week, but they've got some stuff they're working through. Some of that makes it tough to get priority. Some of that seems pointed towards being able to more fluidly onboard games like eBay. Optimistic over time, doing what we can, but there's nothing I can do to personally pull the trigger. Let them know you'd like to see it. They care the most about their buyers and what the buyers want. So if you guys have not been following the TCG player drama and basically a bunch of the TCG player employees getting laid off and them trying to, I think they made their own union and then they ended up getting laid off and all sorts of crazy stuff been going on with TCG player. He mentioned this last week where because of everything that's going on, they're just kind of in a wait and see at this point. It's not really much that they can do on their end. They've already talked to TCG player. They're trying to get the ball rolling, but TCG players, representatives or whatever, they may not even be employed anymore. And so there's a lot of this wait and see going on. He did mention that it seems like TCG player may be going like the eBay route where anybody can post their product on there. And if that's the case, then it would be a lot easier for them to add the game, you know, themselves. They have their own, you know, card images. They have all the stuff they need to be able to do it themselves. So if that's the case, hopefully we see it soon, man. I would love to see it on TCG player. And I think in order for game stores to actually take this product and continue to buy MetaZoo product, they need a place to sell their singles. eBay is okay for singles, but TCG player's king. People can like all the tools the TCG player has for buying singles is just, it's like tremendously helpful. Like you can buy so many cards from so many different sellers and still get the best price as a consumer. It's just, hopefully we see this. This is going to be, in my opinion, something that will either make or break them. I know that eventually they will probably get on TCG player. In the short term, though, it's going to be hard to get stores to get their product. We've seen this with Elestrals, stores not wanting to get the Elestrals product because they were not on TCG player. Now they're actually on TCG player. I get sales almost every day from TCG player. Just for Elestrals products. I've seen more stores pick up Elestrals because they have a place to sell the singles. And so it's like this full circle thing that has to happen if more stores are to pick up MetaZoo. If TCG player does not have MetaZoo, the new one, it's going to be a lot harder for a store to say, hey, I want to host events here, because what are they going to do if they can't make money? You know, it is what it is. I'm hoping we get some more information from TCG players soon, or I guess from the MetaZoo team soon regarding that. I know that their hands are basically tied at this point, and really it's stuff that's out of their control. This is all the stuff going on with TCG player, and the layoffs is just, it's next level. It's definitely above their head at this point. So let's go on to the next thing though. All right. Here's a big one that I think everybody, myself included, has been asking for, and it is working. So any word on binders, okay? And that was asked by is it Zales or Zeals TCG? Charlie said, working on a solution for some different accessories, exact order and when those come out to be decided. You all better show up and buy them too. Accessories are a massive inventory risk and the margins are unkind. Going against my better judgment, making them and partnering to pull it off. Okay, so here's the thing, and I think it's going to be more expensive for them to produce simply because if they're trying to cater to the people who are collectors and want to master set it, you're talking about needing like a 480 slot binder. If you're trying to collect non-hollow, reverse hollows, all that stuff, you need a big binder, and that's going to add cost to it if they go that route. Here's some tidbit. I actually inquired to overseas in China for to see what it would cost to produce binders. The cost to produce binders is like $10 per binder, but you have to buy like a minimum of like 500. Okay. Obviously not everybody has that minimum. I've also seen some binders that are like $6 per binder, $5 per binder. And then obviously these binders can sell for like $20, $30 afterwards, but you're talking about taking on a minimum amount, 500 plus binders in inventory. I'm not sure what he means by the margins. Maybe when you take into account your overhead and the cost to produce the artwork on it and all that stuff, I can understand why margins would be slim. As a one-man army trying to get binders, like 100 binders made, and like commissioning artwork for a binder, I think my overhead cost was like, I don't know, it ended up being like $12 or $13 per binder. And then if I were to sell them for $20 plus whatever the shipping is, I would still make like, I don't know, like a 40% margin, which is really, really good. But I'm assuming on a grand scale like this, binders and accessories are going to be, it's a huge waste of space. Not waste of space. It's not a waste, but it takes up a lot of space. So you got inventory costs. And if nobody's buying them, they're just kind of chilling there, sitting, taking up space. So hopefully we see some really cool binders. I'm going to assume that the first binders we see are going to be limited run because they don't want to take unnecessary risk. So maybe that's something to kind of think about. I mean, we're kind of going back to the original MetaZoo ways where everything was, well, not everything, like the majority of it was like small print runs, limited promos with purchase. Like we had that Loveland Melman Frogman, like that was sick, man. I hope we see more of those things because you have to entice the collector aspect as well, not just the players. I'm hoping we see some more of that. I'm hoping we see some more cool promos that are going to come out. Obviously, don't overdo it and put a promo with every little product that you're making. Granted, I also don't see them producing so much product like we were used to with MetaZoo 1. I think one or two like ancillary product releases throughout the year is more than fine. But for a moment there with the original MetaZoo, we were seeing like almost one release a month with new collaborators, t-shirts, shoes at one point, watches. I mean, it was insane. So hopefully we see some more cool products like binders and I mean, what else would a good product? Maybe sleeves, but more so just I mainly care about the binders. I think I love having an actual MetaZoo branded binder with my MetaZoo cards. So yeah. All right, boys, here's another good one right here. And again, we're going through the ones that I think are the most important. There were some banter ones. There were some jokes here and there. So I'm just kind of going through the ones that I think are newsworthy, right? So Schmooze asked, is there any possibility of getting MetaZoo into stores like Target and Walmart again? A very large amount of people don't live near a game store, and it seems impossible to get any in person without traveling for 2 hours. To which Charlie responded, yes, it is a possibility. These things take time, and it's really important not to overload those channels. Card Pro went into hundreds of major grocery locations as an initial test and contained MetaZoo products. We will continue to strategically work with retailers. We have good partners in these spaces, but big box measures sell through and margin by the square inch, and it's not good to push into pegs that you can't confidently move. We will be transparent and give a heads up about those opportunities when they come up. So that's awesome. I did like me the Walmart promos, man. In fact, some of those Walmart promos were pretty valuable near the end of the near the end of the original MetaZoo company, just because they printed so few of them compared to a lot of the other promos. And so for a while there, they were actually worth quite a bit. But that's cool, man. I think what they need to do is find like one partner retailer and keep it exclusive to them. And to, like, here's the thing, companies always do like deals, right? Like exclusive deals or whatever. I think it's smart to just focus on one store and put your product in that store. That way people know, hey, no matter what, these stores carry the product, versus spreading out all the inventory across everything maybe. And basically keeping the supply chain to one location. Because if you guys remember, a big thing we had was with the original MetaZoo, when they had Walmart, Target, and all these stuff, we would have people driving to the stores. They wouldn't see them at all at Target. Then they'd see some of them at Walmart, and then Targets would roll out like right afterwards. And so like, anyways, there, and then like Target ended up taking over the Walmart promo cards. For I think it was Seance, and so you had like the Walmart stamp on there, even though it was sold at Target. And so like, to avoid those messes, I think it's smart to just focus on one retailer to start things off. It could be as simple like, hey, we're gonna offer 3-pack blisters with a promo card. Just focus on that, do it in one location, one retailer, and go from there. I think Target, Walmart. I mean, I probably Walmart has more and is more readily available everywhere. But either way, yes, awesome. So let's go on to the next one. All right, guys, so here's the next one. So Mr. Camel Jr. said, a lot of us want to know, does the 425-page Cryptid Nation Bible really exist? And if so, can you consider releasing it for the fans? It'd be cool to read how the 1.0 story was supposed to end. And Charlie said, I have not seen anything suggesting it exists. It was not in the company files. Most of the things that people were told existed at best, existed in very, very partial form. Okay, I'm sorry. Most of the things that people were told existed at best existed in very, very partial form. There was not a single ready-to-release set in the bankruptcy, which is why we have and will continue to have a 100% track record of delivery. We don't announce things before they are certain. We don't tease things we aren't sure can come to be. When you see a product now, you know it is coming and you'll be able to buy it and receive it. So again, awesome. I love it. I'm tired of everybody hating on MetaZoo fans simply because of the sins of the first company. And I think we just need to flip the page, man. And if Charlie and team can continue to deliver on each and every single product, we'll be fine, man. It's going to be great. It's fun. The new cards are awesome. Again, some quality concerns are still there until I see the new sets or the new set coming out and future sets. Really hoping we can stop scratching the holofoils. And from my understanding, there may be things that they change in the future, like new rarities I thought I read somewhere, or things like that. So very exciting stuff, man. And I can't wait to get my hands on Torrential Tides, man. It's gonna be so cool. But here's an interesting tidbit, and I saw this shared in another Discord. I wish I had the screenshot, but basically, according to the screenshot, Mike Waddell actually replied to this message. I'm assuming it got deleted. Somebody got a screenshot of it, where Mike actually said, hey Charlie, the file was in the bankruptcy, was part of the bankruptcy. Like, if you need a copy, let me know. And then he mentioned something like, oh, and it's Adam Ackler, like, you know, star. So I'm curious to see if that in fact is true. Granted, I'm surprised even Michael Waddell was still in the original MetaZoo Discord. Who knows? Maybe he's no longer a part of it. But regardless, I'm just excited for the future. Can't wait to see what the new lore brings. I plan on hopefully making videos regarding the lore, kind of like how I did originally regarding, you know, the mapping of cryptids, because, and this is something that that is going to come up here in a second. It's going to be very interesting, but I'm hoping to make more of that. I think it's really interesting, and they're writing, like Mike, the writer, which, by the way, that's a whole other thing, man. Mike, the editor / writer of MetaZoo, was on here as well, and he was actually answering questions regarding that as well, and that might be something that we look into here shortly. But Mike is like writing an entire like story. He's currently he said that he is researching Abraham's story, and like so much so that he has never done research in the past. His own mother loves the story thus far and expects a free copy of the book when it's out. Like, I'm very excited for the story. The story will be the foundation of this IP. I think the mapping of cryptids was a smart way to be able to expand that, because that was the mapping of cryptids was one of the biggest questions I personally had, and I think a lot of people had, regarding how can MetaZoo, turn into like a video game at one point, or even like a show or something, if like these cryptids are like rare sightings and things like that. It would basically mean like, there's only one of that cryptid, or at least people assumed. And so now with the mapping feature, we know whoever gets that cryptid, they can map it, and it gets added to your spell book, at which point you can summon that cryptid. So even if it's like one left, you can still map it and summon it whenever is needed. So yeah, more on that in a second. So another question that was asked is, and I guess the message can't be loaded right now, but one of the questions, and this was regarding like, hey, when can we expect you in like Australia or something like that? And so Charlie said, hey, we're working on it. We would be with distribution partners, not sure on specific form yet, but I'm super interested in seeing a bigger presence globally through partners. So they are expanding globally, which I think that was one of the earlier announcements that we went over, the fact that they have distribution all around the world currently, which is awesome. But here's the question that I asked, okay? And so my question was, Charlie, are there plans on introducing shiny variants of cryptids? We had white and black Mothman in the OG game, and after you mentioned in last week's MetaZoo Monday that the reason that the same cryptids can have different elements is due to the caster who is capturing it, could this indicate that certain casters get shiny variants instead of the regular cryptid variants? And Charlie responded, interesting question. I don't think it would work as strictly a shiny variant, but because the caster that is mapping can have an impact on the physical appearance of the mapped cryptid, you could theoretically have rarer appearances, especially if the aura of the caster is particularly antithetical, I don't know how to pronounce it, guys, I'm sorry, to the cryptid's origins. Lots of neat stuff that could be created in this space. So immediately my mind started like going to a light versus dark, and this goes back to white Mothman, black Mothman, where I think Indrid Cold had black Mothman, and of course Sam Sinclair had the white Mothman, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, I could be mixing them up, but we could potentially see like essentially dark cryptid variants, or like evil cryptid variants, or like some sort. We're at this point, it's like they would be dumb not to do it. I think having some sort of shiny variant, not necessarily shiny like with a different, like, just the fact that the colors are different or whatever, or that they're, whatever, but having different variants of a cryptid based on who the caster is, and I guess their morals, like if you have somebody that maps a Mothman, and that person is genuinely good, and that Mothman could be the white Mothman. They could have some sort of like healing capabilities for their team or something. But then you have somebody who has, who just bad morals, they hate life, they're all about destruction, whatever, man. And if they were to map a Mothman, they get this black, dark, gritty Mothman who basically is all about death, which interestingly, moths in a lot of cultures signify death, so that's actually a nice motive there. But very cool. I hope we see something soon regarding this. I think it would actually help collectability out, especially if they introduce serialized cards or something along those lines, which I'm hoping we hear. In fact, next Monday I'm going to ask that question. I'm going to ask if we can expect to see any sort of serialized cards in the product, aside, because I mean the hidden rares are hidden rares, but ultimately now that the product has been out, the hidden rares aren't too hard to pull. I mean, yes, they're a little bit more rare, and even though it's not a guaranteed one hidden rare per case, which was confirmed by Charlie, I mean, really you can probably get 1 out of 2 cases, which is 1 out of 24 boxes, which again isn't too rare if you really think about it. So I'm kind of hoping we hear something about a higher rarity, a serialized rarity, or something along those lines that will kind of aid in the collectability of this game, right? I think it was a great step with the hidden rares. I just want to see serialized cards, something awesome, man. Give us something cool. That OG Moth was like a dream come true, and I hope I can get it. I hope I can pull it one of these days. But yeah, very excited to see what the future holds for that, because if we get shiny variants, or shiny, or like any sort of cryptid variants, it's going to be, I think a good way that they can implement that into like the video game, if they do have a video game one day. And yeah, man, there's a lot of stuff I can talk about regarding the shiny variants situation. I hope we do get some sort of different cryptid variants soon in future product. That's for sure. So let's go on to the next one. All right, yeah, so here's the one. Somebody asked, like, hey, something about a guaranteed, the message won't load. But Charlie did say there is not a guaranteed hit per case. This is what I was just talking about, that Charlie confirmed there is not a guaranteed hidden rare per case, which at the time of release, myself included, we all thought that you could get one hidden rare per case, because based on the amount of boxes streamers were opening and the cases that were being opened, it was basically one per case. That seemed to be what was going on. So let's go on to another one. All right, and so let me go ahead and finish it off with this. There were a couple others regarding like artists and like the fact that they are able to commission their own artwork of MetaZoo cryptids and whatnot, as long as it's not MetaZoo branded or something like that. So definitely recommend you guys go through it. Very interesting stuff. But here is the final message before he signed off of MetaZoo Hour. Let me leave you with one big takeaway for me. When MetaZoo went under, I felt like it was unfair. I always felt like MetaZoo fans were bullied in the TCG world, that they didn't deserve the hate that they got, and I was frustrated that I felt like they worked super hard to make a space that was their own, show passion for the subject matter, and then it blew up for reasons outside their control. That didn't feel right to me. Time passed and it didn't get better. When the bankruptcy rolled around, I put in my interest. I thought about it, but I was still working off of 50% curiosity at that point. And under the hood, it was as rough as we imagined. The filing listed 1.7 million in claims. I lost it. Where am I at? Yeah, here it is. So I took a really big chance. I put together a group, paid over $2 million in an amount in excess of the claims filed with the company, pulled strings to get a really good team together, and we started working with what was in front of us to try to make MetaZoo into something sustainable. And the point of that has always been intimately connected to the feelings I've had since it started. I believe MetaZoo's IP has a good approach to cryptids, and I know that there were countless people burned. Believe me, I deal with it more than you do. When I'm working on distro, working with platform partners, working with fans, etc., and I've been a consistently patient ear. But the message that I'm bringing is one of hope. You might not like 100% of what we've done to try to make this something durable and sustainable, and we've spent over half a year now making this space somewhere you all could work through. And we've spent over half a year now making the space somewhere you all could work through that. But I believe that this can be a good space, a hopeful space, something forward-oriented for people whose great memories from the past are primarily rooted in the positive aspects of TCG culture. One of the things that I will defend that space from is people who want to be bullies. It didn't sit right with me in the past, and it doesn't sit right with me now. If your primary purpose in this community is to create a negative space and rob the joy of people who are discovering MetaZoo, we can see that, and it doesn't have a place here. This is a place of hope. That means looking forward, making friends, and choosing to be a positive contributor to a place that people want to spend their time. It's time to let the past be the past. There's room for everyone on this train if they've got it in them to be the right type of person. And I really hope that I see more of the amazing potential that so many of you have go toward positive community creation instead of chips on shoulders and cheap shots. This is the official policy of the Discord and of the spaces we create, and the burden of proof is on you to be a positive contributor. If it doesn't seem it can go that way, we will prioritize the people having a good time first and foremost. Here's to the future. And I think this was because there was a person that was kind of being negative in the Discord and all that regarding like, oh, what about the old customers who got burned and all this other stuff. Because deep down, people are still very much hurt by that, and they're very, very much upset. They lost maybe thousands of dollars, and so, I can empathize with that. I mean, again, I was very lucky to have only lost like 100 and whatever with the streaming kit cost for native back in the day. I was very lucky to have just lost that versus some other people that lost thousands and thousands of dollars of ordered inventory. So, but I also see what Charlie's saying, like, hey, like, I get it, but it's time to move on, man. Like, we can't do anything about the past. The original company went through bankruptcy. This is a whole new ownership group. And obviously there are counterpoints to this, saying like, well, they could have just created their own cryptid card game and not MetaZoo. They knew what they were signing up, and that's fair. That's actually a fair assessment of that. But I hope we do move on, man, because the new card game, in my opinion, is actually really cool. The new cards are really, really cool. I like the fact that there's more, I guess, spread of art styles, which I think I find that very, very cool. I find that very fun, because not only do you get to appreciate the original water style color art, but then you also get some really new cool artwork that these artists have been working on that they're passionate about. And so we've actually seen a lot of artists from the original MetaZoo hop on here, talk about how great it's been working with GameCubator Labs. So with this final message here, I am going to leave you guys. But as always, thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. And if you stayed this long, dude, like, you're a legend. You're wild, because this is almost a 40-minute video at this point. Well, probably less once I actually edit it down a little bit. But since you're still here, if you guys are interested in Torrential Tides pre-orders, I do have some available on my website, crusader-collectibles.com. Link in the description and link in the pinned comments. So if you guys are wanting to pre-order some of that Torrential Tides, consider going through me. We're going to be doing what we did last time, duck races. If we get any of the alternate art boxes, you know, filming all of that to make sure that I'm as transparent as I can be with the people who purchased from me and who watch my content. So thank you guys so much for basically going through this entire thing with me, and let me know if, you know, what you guys thought about, what you found interesting about this MetaZoo Monday, and what you're looking forward to in Torrential Tides. I'd really like to hear. See y'all later.